Okay. And now, oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to have to restart. Our recording here.
Okay. Good morning, GWC and Catherine. Who else is out there in Rumble land?
Okay, recording is rolling and working here. David,
right.
Can I get a little chatter from you?
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Okay, yeah, that's all working. All right, you're good to go.
Very good. Does my sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. In 3, 2, 1. And welcome. It is Perilous World Radio. Jan Masters. Today, a new day.
Yes.
A new day. A new day.
Thank God.
Good to have you here.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Now, I don't know if you, well, actually, I do know. So I'll just say you didn't see the Sean Hannity interview on Fox News with Erica Kirk. So I have
Correct.
some good clips from that for discussion today. Because, you know, he started talking about his own personal faith. He said
Sean
that,
did?
oh, yeah, a little bit. And
okay.
yeah, but he said that until Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he was kind of reluctant to talk about his faith. And so there's a little bit of that in there, but there's also, so Charlie Kirk has a new book out that was finished a month before he was taken out. And so they're on a book tour now. But you want to just launch into this, and
Sure.
or do you have any thoughts on anything about anything?
Well, what you just said about Sean, Vice President Vance said the same thing,
Right.
that he was reluctant to talk about his faith until Charlie's assassination. So his assassination is much bigger than what we imagine. It somehow has kicked off reviving of faith in the Lord, in Jesus. And it's an amazing thing to watch. Now, of course, there's always something that comes along to try to divert the attention. Because do you remember at his memorial, I just remember thinking, wow, this is huge. Something huge is happening. I feel the Spirit moving. This is the kickoff of revival. I really felt that. And it wasn't but within a few days that somebody came along named Candace Owens and siphoned off a bunch of that attention to her conspiracy theories and making it about her, all about her. The devil has always got something to take your eyes off of the ball, and that is what is happening right now.
So I don't know if you saw the video she put out about bragging that she had become the #1 anti-Semite in the world. Did you see that?
Was that a while ago, like a few weeks ago?
Just within the last couple of days.
Oh, gosh.
She was named the #1 top anti-Semite. Now, I don't know if I'd be bragging about that, but I mean, obviously it was tongue in cheek for her.
No. Well, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes and
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
She's very, very transparent about her distaste of the Jews right now. And it sad to say, it's a rising sentiment. There's another young guy out there. What is his name? He's very foul. Nick Fuentes, who is disgusting.
Yeah.
But yet he's supposed to be the most influential among young men right now on X. He's got millions of followers, David. And he just talks horribly about Jews, blacks, women. And it's shocking, actually, that people are listening to this.
Well, look, there are two kinds of people. I mean, the truth tellers and the others. And the truth tellers, well, like somebody like Tim Pool, who is an independent broadcaster, has he was shot at in his home recently in the last day or two.
Right.
And so now he's got a target on him, and he's lashing out in his own way. But
Lots
the
of lashing
liars-
out.
Yeah, the liars will get a lot of support from lie lovers. And because there's something about, it's weird. It's almost like oh gosh, I don't know. You know how insects are attracted to sometimes these piles of dung? They
Yeah.
smell it and they're attracted to it. And so there are people who are dung peddlers, and their dung has a certain
So
aroma
true.
to it. And they just they go, there's something familiar about that aroma. But what it is that the devil is always about doubting the truth. And so maybe there's a part that we have to look at with the government not having maybe explained their case, and the reason why Candace Owens is picking up other people and siphoning off people because the government may have not, the whole thing with the Jeffrey Epstein thing. So there are reasons why people go, well, I don't trust the government. And maybe she's telling the truth, right?
Right.
And maybe Nick Fuentes is telling you, but there was a movie, I think Mel Gibson was in, where he was a foul-mouthed, womanizing, woman hater. There's something about that because, and especially today, I think 30%, I saw this statistic of 30% of young men have not even ever had a date. So there's something that there's an anger or a fear of relationships. And then you take that and you parlay that into a fear of trusting government officials. And now you got to have a psychic epidemic.
Well, I think that these trends, these extreme trends, cause extremes on the other side. For instance, for the last few decades, we have watched the feminizing of men, right? Yeah. Men, and then men just wanting to become women. And now the Nick Fuentes crowd is almost like taking back masculinity to that other extreme that is drawing men, because it's almost a reaction to the feminizing of men, going to the toxic masculine side, right? Yeah. Always missing the middle ground where truth is. So I believe that's part of it. And what's it called when you're politically correct? So now this also politically incorrect speech, which is part of the reason Trump was so popular. But Nick Fuentes, it's like, well, he's being honest. He's being honest. So you can say there's a virtue there in being honestly disgusting.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And here's the other thing is that I've heard discussion throughout the course of my life of parents who treat their children as if they're stupid, and they call them names and they diminish them. But that was done to young men in political correctness, through wokeness.
Yes.
And they were told that they were toxic. They had toxic masculinity. So now if you call somebody a name long enough, sometimes and often those labels and those mean things stick. And so now there's a whole group of young men out there that have been labeled as toxically masculine. And now they have a champion who says, well, yeah, and what's wrong with that? Because nobody's going to accept you as you are anyway. So why not just get into it?
Yeah. And I will say in opposition, so yes, there is a toxic masculinity, but there's also and on the feminine side, you could call it toxic empathy, which goes so far that it will never correct anything. It will embrace everything. That would be on the left, toxic empathy or sympathy, that no matter what a person wants to do or be, you're going to support it. Okay. And that's an extreme version of the feminine side, right? So there are extreme versions of masculine and feminine that are not what God intended. And that's what I feel like we're watching with Nick Fuentes in that side.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. One of my friends told me he's watching this show on Netflix called Vikings, and he said, "Man, those guys were bad people, bad." Now, you want to talk about a toxically masculine culture? Vikings were, but they were that way because of survival necessity. They had to conquer or be conquered. But we don't have that kind of toxic masculinity other than in drug lord territory, where you have these people who are willing to
mafia,
do anything.
crime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gangs.
The gangster ideas,
The gangsters, yeah.
So the only kind of real toxic masculinity we have are these groups of people who totally reject social norms anyway. Now, we got to take a quick break. FHU.com is where you find out about the Be Still and Know. It will remove your toxic masculinity if you got any. All right. Un momento, por favor. Okay. And 3, 2, 1. And welcome back. It is Perilous World Radio. Having a conversation today, and it's kind of I don't know. We're looking at the modern culture and seeing the meltdown. And I talked about this in the last show that I said, we believed for a while that America was going to enter into this new golden age, and we have this new president who really represents what it is the average person wants. But, it's like, here it is. Good shows up to do good, and evil shows up in equal measure.
Always.
Evil is rising up in such a weird way. The more good that is being done, the more evil is sort of popping out everywhere.
They always escalate together. That's what I've realized.
Yeah.
It's not going to be finally good has conquered. Like finally Trump, he beat the bad guys and he's in. Does that mean they're going to stop now? No, they're going to double down. They're going to try other ways of taking him down. It's never going to stop. And that's what we have to realize. Don't expect evil to stop. Just keep going in the direction you need to be going in. And you brought up Erica Kirk, and, we're talking about these extremes of toxic masculinity and toxic empathy. And then here's this lady who every now and then is doing an interview, and she has a spirit about her that is neither one of those extremes. She's rooted in her faith. She's a woman who embraces the identity God gave her. She embraced her identity as a wife and a mother, and also as a strong woman of faith. And she's this little voice out here right now that's very different than anything you're hearing, because when she speaks, she's speaking from the Spirit. I saw a couple clips of her interview with Megyn Kelly, and all of her answers very spiritually grounded. And her lack of hate is what stands out. And what we're seeing in the norm right now of the culture with Fuentes and Candace is this expression of hate. It's so thick. And then here's this woman whose husband was shot.
And I changed the word to contempt, because it's mingled.
It's all in there. Yes.
Yeah, it's all mingled in. Yeah.
It's all just like, the fruit of the Spirit is what? Love, joy, patience, long suffering, right? Well, the fruits of the dark spirit are all related. Anger, contempt, jealousy, hate.
Yeah.
They're all facets of the same Spirit.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of Erica Kirk, Hannity did have her on his show last night. Charlie Kirk has a new book that he wrote a month before he finished writing before he was assassinated. Let's just hear a clip of that, shall we?
Okay.
Here it comes.
Charlie Kirk's final book that he finished only 1 month before his assassination. It is now out in bookstores around the country. Stop in the Name of God: Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. After all this happened, I knew Charlie more on the political side of him, but the most important part of Sean Hannity is the personal, private side that has been hesitant, never wanted to proselytize. And especially as I've gotten older, my faith has grown stronger and stronger. Right. And after this happened and he was assassinated, Ainsley, for example, and myself started watching videos of the two of you.
Yeah.
And one really stood out about how Charlie would always ask you, and you would ask him, how you can serve each other. In a lot of marriages that go wrong, it's, well, she won't, he won't, horrible cook, whatever. Right. I want to play with a little of that.
Charlie and I check in with each other every single day. How can I serve you better? What can I do for you to make it better when you get home? Is there anything that you need me to have ready for you when you come back from the office or this trip, XYZ? He asks me the same thing if I'm out doing something, or even if I'm out with the kids. What can I do? How can I make your day better? You're a team, and you guys are not at ends with each other. Work together, communicate, and grow together as equally yoked partnership.
Any reaction to that, Jen?
Well, that's not something you hear in our culture. How can we serve each other? But Jesus said to his disciples, don't try to lift yourself up. Look at my example. I came to serve. Okay? The Savior of the world came to serve. And so if you find yourself looking to be served instead of serve, you're missing the point. So, and here's this woman sharing how these two people both embraced that principle in their marriage. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful example and testimony to challenge people to look and consider that this can actually be.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, though, is that most people are, the Bible says this way: first of flesh and second of spirit. So first thing that they do is serve the flesh. They serve themselves.
Yes.
And in that, the priority is number one.
Of course.
And from that, you end up with these divided relationships. I watch, when I want to watch just regular TV, I watch true crime, which I find fascinating, because the connections that people have with the people who victimize them, usually very personal. And, the worst, most horrific types of crimes are committed by people. 80% of all murders are committed by people that know each other or that know the person.
Crimes of passion.
Yeah. And so this whole idea of introducing this dynamic of making sure that, there's a mutual and lack of a better word, equal commitment to taking care of each other. That's not something that you hear. I mean, it's just not something. There's certain things that are expected and, that are unspoken, I guess, but it never is really codified in any kind of formal language that I've ever heard.
And to be conscious of this principle, Painted Black on the chat says very, very sweetly, they say charity begins at home. That's it, what she just talked about, being charitable toward your spouse. It begins there.
Yeah.
If you're not charitable at home, but you're out showing the world how good you are, but you're not charitable toward the one you live with, what's the point? It's got to start there.
Well, it's also sabotage, because you have you have, let's say on a bird, you have a left and a right wing.
Right.
They work together to lift the bird. I mean, you take away one of those wings, the whole thing goes down. Okay,
Absolutely.
Quick break here. Yeah, we got to take a break. FHU.com is where you find out about the Be Still and Know exercise. It will realign you with your creator. It's really as simple as it is. Got to be still and know. Find out more at FHU.com. Okay. All right, welcome back. It is Perilous World Radio. Jan Masters, David Masters today. Playing some clips of the Erica Kirk interview. And I just want to say that one of the things that Hannity will say in this interview is that he was reluctant to talk about his faith. But here's what happens when people do talk about their faith is that you can certainly observe inconsistencies in people who say that they are people of faith and try to poke holes in them. And in effect, people, especially in the world that we just kind of emerged from, the Biden world, that if you had faith, you were a target as opposed to having no morals. You were accepted by the no morality society. But if you were a moral person standing out and speaking up, people were going to try to poke holes in you.
Well, that's Jesus said that would always be.
Right. And my point, though, is that when you start to get comfortable or more comfortable with the idea of speaking about faith in your relationship with God and the importance of that in your life, there are going to be people who say, oh, that's so, I don't even know what the word for it is, but they're going to, first of all, they're going to feel embarrassed because they don't have it themselves, the dark side. And then they're going to try to come after you to make you, to humiliate you. Humiliation is a big part of that. And then the other part of it is the doubt side of it, which is, and unfortunately, there are people who wrap themselves in faith or what looks like faith. And because they feel vulnerable and they think that they wrap themselves up in faith and then they're going to be protected because of that. And then people will see that and it will almost tempt people, the larceny, the dark side of people, to come out after. Sometimes people look what happened to Charlie Kirk, and look what's happening to other people who are out there just simply speaking the truth, that you get attacked.
But it's okay. It's all okay. Because, yes, God let Charlie's life be taken, but look at the fruit that his faith produced. So you would say, what a terrible thing, he lost his life. But you know what? I believe it was laid down. He even said, I'm here on a public stage. God used me. He laid his life down, and the Lord allowed it to be taken, just like Jesus's life was taken. And it produced much fruit. So don't be afraid of being a person of faith. If people are going to challenge you, there's your chance to grow and be even stronger in your faith. There's no reason to shy away.
Yeah, part of the thing that I have experienced personally is the superficial cultural Christians who put on a show, and it's a performative. It's like that's all they know how to do. And of course they get involved and they try to do good works and support various causes. But unfortunately there's a certain, I don't know what they do. I don't know if they evidence the fruit of the Spirit as well as they might. Now, it seemed like Charlie Kirk did a really good job.
Yeah.
But I think that the way that people look at Erica Kirk is that she's what they call a trad wife, a traditional wife. But there's a diminishment of people who try to do the right thing for the right reason, which I think has been the reason why other people have been reluctant to come out of that conservative closet and just say, all right, this is who I am, this is what I believe, and to demonstrate it, but knowing that other people are going to find a way to try to undermine them.
A lot of people are criticizing her and diminishing her as if, oh gee, she's just a phony Christian. Yeah. She's just speaking. But you know what? Who cares? Because are you doing what you're doing for the sake of others and what they're going to think of you, or are you doing it to please your Father in heaven? When you are on that path, you just do it. You take the slings and arrows and you keep going. And that is the story of all of the disciples. You're going to be criticized for standing up for the truth, for sharing your faith. But that's, every once in a while when I face something like that, it's very interesting because for a second you feel like maybe a little like, oh, somebody just shot me with something, right? But then I know in my heart, it's like, I don't care. I'm doing my best for you, God. That's all I care about. I'm not going to give any thought to the contempt or criticism of others. I may check and see, am I off there? You know what? I'm just doing what I'm called to do the best I can. And that's how else can you do it? You have to keep your eye on the straight path ahead of you and not let your head be turned to the right or the left, worrying, fretting about what people are saying. And in the end, I don't know. It's just keeping your focus on the goal. What is your goal? Please God or please man? You got to choose.
Yeah, doing the right thing is not intended to be easy. Because if it was, then everybody would do it.
Yeah.
But it's harder, believe it or not, in the long run, not to do the right thing.
Well, you're going to suffer for doing what's
involved,
right,
right?
or
Yeah.
you're going to suffer for doing what's wrong. Which suffering would you choose? And there is, even though you will suffer when you're following Jesus and following the truth, there's a peace in that. There's no peace when you are denying the truth and living a life of rebellion against God and crime. There's no peace there. I mean, I always remember the story of Stephen in the Bible, who was a young man who had so much faith. And was it Paul? I think, who tutored him and was teaching him. And there's Stephen, this young man, talking to these Jewish people and the Pharisees and telling them about Christ. And Paul is Saul, before he's Paul, is standing there witnessing it. I believe holding his robe, Stephen's garment. And they get so angry at Stephen that they start to stone him and kill him. But all he did was look up, David, and see Christ standing at the right hand of God. And he smiled because he knew where he was going. So I would rather suffer that way than suffer for not doing the right thing. Even in death. Oh, death, where is thy sting?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember hearing, I think it was on Trinity Broadcasting on the CBN, one of those shows where there was a man who had been in I think it was a Chinese prison, who was tormented every day for years by his prison guard. But what happened to him in this story is that eventually he was released from jail. And before he left, his prison guard said to him that he had never, ever had an experience with another human being like this man that he was guarding. And that he found out, that the man that was released from jail, that the prison guard eventually converted to Christianity as a result of that. So see, your tormentor at certain junctions in time becomes your mentor, right?
Yeah.
And he teaches you to deal with things in a way that no one else might be able to. And then eventually the side effect of that is that other lives are radically affected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just a modern day story. And unfortunately, though, most of us have feet of clay, and it doesn't take much to, to shatter
Topple
our
us, yeah.
peace, and destroy us because we have expectations and we have ideas about things, and we have ego that constantly, talks to us in the background. You can't let them do that to you.
Yes.
Whatever it may be, the ego is there, whispering and screaming and throwing tantrums and whatever. And so, life is full of trials and tribulations. And it just depends upon how you deal with it, because it's not what happens, obviously. Although there's a factor there, but it's how you deal with it.
It's like the ego is like a little king or queen that has its own little kingdom, all of its desires, its plans of what it wants. And you pursue that until you're ready to lay down your crown and worship the crown of another, the highest one in heaven. Because your kingdom that you're going to create is going to do nothing but create misery for you, because it will never fulfill. It is not the purpose you were made for. I mean, anything, I pick up on this table. Okay, here's a pair of headphones. It was created for people to put on their head and listen to something through a microphone. It has a purpose, and it's the highest purpose for this thing. Now, you could use it to hold something together, or you can use it for all different kinds of things. But until it's used for the purpose it was made, it will not be fulfilled. And that's us. We were made for a specific purpose to go ahead.
5 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I wasn't watching.
Easy to forget.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
It's good. There's two of us. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Okay. And continuing with the program. The purpose for which we came into this world, that's a deep subject, because without pain, unfortunately, I was thinking about what it must have been like for Jesus himself as a human being to actually have all of the exact same experiences as all of us.
Yeah.
Stub his toe hurts. Hungry in the afternoon, his stomach is in pain. Uncomfortable at night because of the uncomfortable. He's just, I was trying to, it just occurred to me. It's like he went through every single thing that all of us went through. And what occurred to me as at the end of this thought experiment, I guess, was that when he was crucified, that was the ultimate nightmare, obviously, and it would be for anyone. But when he was put in the tomb, and then God retrieved him, what I saw was that he took all of what it is that we have to experience as a human being. And have you ever seen like a movie where there's a wormhole and everything gets sucked into it?
Yeah.
Oops.
Sorry.
It's okay. So I'm making a reference to if you've ever seen a movie with a wormhole you get sucked into and everything gets drawn into it. Like I saw in this vision everything of the human suffering type get drawn into whatever dimension Jesus was drawn into when he transfigured, when he was taken from this world into his kingdom. So But the idea is that's something that people have to start to think about, wrap your head around that, because the scripture says there will be no more gnashing of teeth and no more tears, and it's something that Jesus did took that away. And if that nothing else other than that, it's important to understand why Jesus is important. Is all I'm saying.
As I'm picturing that,
yeah,
it's like I made a way. Follow me, just the way they had to follow Moses through the Red Sea that was parted. Here's the way I made for you.
Yeah.
This impossible, sentence of death and sin, I have opened a way. And this is how I did it, even overcoming death. So why wouldn't we want to put our faith there and walk through that way?
Here's an important distinction. Because for me, as I get older, I'm looking at the prospect of what death actually is, as opposed to what it appears to be.
Right.
Death seems to be a final condition that ends your life as you know it, which is true. But depending upon, you were saying a little while ago that you'll stand for your principles even to death, to this point of death. So this is an idea that is transcendent, that otherwise we have nothing but the idea that we go into a permanent state of non-existence, which is exactly the opposite, in my view, of what actually happens. We go into a permanent state of existence.
Right.
This is the temporary side of things. And the permanent side of things is beyond this. And so you really have to adjust. Jesus set the example. He showed us, he explained it to us. He was frustrated with his disciples, who were just ordinary people, by the way, who had extraordinary insights. If you look at it objectively.
Follow me, he said. Follow me back to the Father. Follow me. He's the bridge, bridging the gap that sin created between man and God. He's the bridge. Just follow me. I'll take you back to the Father. It's really, honestly, we go to movies and they're interesting, but this story that God wrote is the most amazing story. It's the greatest story ever told, every aspect of it. And each one of us is a part of the cast, a part of this amazing story.
It is true. And we all have our role. And
that's right.
So one of the reasons why it's important to discuss these types of things is for clarification, the purpose of understanding your own life. And because without that, then you are nothing more than, I don't know, a lemming that just follows a Pied Piper off a cliff.
And that's what Satan wants you to believe you are. Nothing. But if everything around you, if you look around you, everything that you see was created by somebody for something, for some purpose, right? How much more would we be created for a reason by the Creator, creating us in His image? He has a specific purpose for you, and it's for relationship with Him. Now, you have to overcome the imprints that you received as a child that told you otherwise. You are not loved. You are not anything. You have to overcome those to accept that God actually created you with love for a reason and see that His Son died for you.
15 seconds here. We got to take a quick break. And again, if you'll check out FHU.com, you'll find out the pay side, the premium side of the website has thousands, tens of thousands of hours of great audio from Roy Masters, FHU.com. Yeah, that's hour one.
Okay.
And I still got 5 clips of Charlie Kirk.
All right.
Erica.
All
Erica
right.
Kirk.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Welcome back. It is Perilous World Radio. Jan Masters joining me, David Masters today. And I think we should probably play another clip of Erica talking with Hannity.
Okay. Let's do it.
Here it comes.
There's a lot of deep meaning in that and a lot of lessons for couples to learn. Can you give us more detail? What did it mean for you to serve him and for him to serve you? Because I often joke, why did they take away love, honor, obey? I'm kidding. I'm not Bam Bam. I'm not Fred Flintstone. But what did it mean to you?
What it meant to me was that he actually genuinely cared about how he could improve himself as a husband, not from the standpoint of, look at me, I'm better than you, but in the standpoint of, I want to serve you because I love you. And I want to make sure that I can be the provider that you need spiritually, emotionally, and every other way with the children. And we never looked at each other as competing roles. It was never from the standpoint of, well, you're the wife, you need to stay in XYZ, and I'm the husband and I go out. And it was always, we're a team. There was no daylight between us. He always told me about his day, everything that was going on with Turning Point USA, everything that he was up to, and vice versa. And that's why we were always in lockstep with the Lord. We were equally yoked when we got married, and we remained that way because our full focus and our full through line was the Lord.
It brings a whole new twist to the idea of being equally yoked. And, I saw something just yesterday on oxen being yoked together. And how together, when they pull the weight of whatever it is they're pulling, it equalizes and diminishes the load on one and distributes it to both. That's what it means, clearly.
Equally yoked with God, with the Lord. Because if he's not in it, then each person's goal is more self-oriented. And you're going to be going all different directions. But if you're both serving, like she said, we're serving each other, we're serving the Lord. It's all about service. And I love what she said. There was no daylight between us. How many married couples can you say you've met that have that? I haven't. And that can only happen with God, because he's the one that created marriage. He was involved in the garden before they fell, and afterward there was a separation. So she holds out a standard for human beings to actually listen and go, what? Is this for real? They really had this? And I do believe marriage is a magical union when God is at the center in each of the person's lives.
Unfortunately, let's just talk about the Adam and Eve scenario. She acted independently. Instead of saying to her husband, hey, this guy over here this creature is getting me to eat that fruit. We were told there wasn't any balancing to be had. Now, maybe Adam would have agreed. I don't know. But she took it independently of ever,
that was her sin.
With him.
That was her sin. And it does say she was beguiled. She was beguiled. Now, her sin is very similar to Adam's, because when she came to him, he did the same thing. He should have said, hey, God, wait a minute. What's going on here? See what I mean? And God knew, David, before he even created us, that a moment would happen where curiosity of life without him would come and they would fall. But the solution was thought of before we were even created, because they knew it was going to happen.
Equally yoked, though.
Yes, equally yoked.
Well, but
what does that mean?
I think that I think that my scenario of the oxen being yoked together, pulling in unison, and not pulling separately or in different directions, but moving in the same direction. Now, and so in the Garden of Eden, the first liberal was created because that person said, well, that's got to be good for knowledge and it looks good to eat. And, who needs the other guy's opinion? I don't care what you think. I'm going to go ahead and take this. And so beguiling means one thing, that person was appealed to in their ego. Maybe they didn't even know they had an ego.
Found a place to appeal.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then when she didn't immediately die. See, I think this is where a couple of different kinds of doubt came in. It's like, well, he told us that the moment we were going to eat that food, we would die. And you look at you look great.
Right.
You know what I mean? She might have had a glow about her. Who knows?
Yeah.
So then he decides, okay, maybe this was all part of it's like a training day with Al Pacino. Maybe it was just a test or a trick. So I don't know, but I know that, and see, but then here's where it gets reversed in a really interesting way. The Roman guard who had the son that was sick, or the servant that was sick, that he loved, and he went to Jesus and said, will you heal my servant? He said, take me to him. He said, no, I don't need to, because I understand the chain of command. And he said, of this person, I have never seen anybody with such great faith. So if you have faith in the delivered message, that's better than having faith in a person or a place or a thing or anything. It's you have faith in the
authority,
chain of command.
the authority above you. Now, here's what I realize about Adam and Eve. They were created in the image, in the image of God. They were not yet truly children of God. They were, David, this is where I think the story of Pinocchio is so brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Pinocchio was in the image of a human, but he was wooden. That's Adam and Eve. And then Pinocchio is tempted and runs away, follows his ego, right?
Oh, it's so good.
And realizes he made a mistake and wants to go back home to the Father. And he escapes back to the Father. And what happens, David? He becomes a real boy. Adam and Eve become real sons and daughters through the process that we're in right now. Because he said in John 1 somewhere that to all that would believe in him in this light, he would give the ability to become sons and daughters of God. So they were puppets at first, not knowing.
Yeah.
But we become real sons and daughters of God when we choose him over sin.
What a great overview.
I really believe that whoever wrote that story understood that. I do. Because remember, Adam and Eve were created from the dust, and he breathed his breath of life into them. But they didn't yet have his spirit. They were innocent of wrongdoing so far. But we couldn't become sons and daughters, David, until we fell and returned from choice. So we're all little Pinocchios until we realize our folly.
That's such a great point.
Because true
One
love,
of the best
David,
points I've heard in a long time.
True love cannot exist without free will and free choice. So Adam and Eve, they had to have the choice to say no to God so that we could then have the choice to say yes.
Well, I don't even think they said no. I just think that they, I say this all the time.
It was a rejection of his rule of whatever. It was choosing something other than him.
But it's not the same as direct insurrection. It's more like the word beguiled, hypnotized. It's not something you have to worry about. Your mind gets distracted. You don't have a firewall. They didn't have a firewall in their mind. And they were diverted. She was diverted. It's like temporarily hypnotized, mesmerized. And then Now she becomes an agent in that matrix, in that serpentine matrix where she's saying, look, I ate the fruit. It didn't have any effect on me. My eyes are open. Isn't that what she said? We got to take a quick break.
Yes.
We'll be right back. 3, 2, 1. Okay, deconstructing the Adam and Eve scenario, it's kind of interesting because I don't think things have changed that much over the last, how many thousands of years, how many, waves of human beings that have inhabited this earth for how long, who knows? But the Great Reset in the Garden of Eden was a kickstart for humans. And then 2,000 years later, from Adam and Eve, God made a covenant with those two people and said, and he had pity on them, by the way. Right? And this is why, he, and all the people, by the way, who had lived up until the point in time of Jesus' return. Now, Jesus is said to have had gone into hell to retrieve the souls of those who had to wait for him, who were people who were basically good people who, the devil had no right to keep them, but they didn't have any get out of jail card. So, yeah, anyway, it's just a point.
Adam and Eve, did they have the power to deny that choice forever? I don't think they had the power, because you know what? The Spirit of God is the only one that can handle evil. And that's what came through the snake,
That's
okay?
probably, I think
And
that's good.
so, does a puppet have the same power as a son of God? I don't think so. That's why he knew from the beginning that the puppet was going to have to realize at some point that they're just a puppet. And so here we are. And when we accept the Son of God, who is made of the same stuff that God is made of, the Spirit of God, when we accept that and that Holy Spirit in us, now we have the power to be a son or a daughter. And that Spirit in us is what protects us from the evil. We can't do it as a puppet. We need that Spirit. And this was the process that God knew had to happen for us to get there, because we will forever know it was not of our own power.
Yeah, and here's another component, which is that in the Garden of Eden, choice was born out of having two options.
Yes.
Right? To obey or disobey.
Yes.
But now that we are born subject to the disobedience of the original people, we only have one choice to make, and that is obedience to what we know is right. That's all we have to do is choose one thing. It's much simpler than it was back then.
It's like when a man asks a woman to marry him, okay? She has one choice. Yes or no. And when God offers his salvation to you, you can say yes or no. I'm fine the way I am, or yes, I want to be yoked with you. And that is where you become the son or daughter in God's family through his Spirit.
The average person lives in the default mode because they haven't said yes. They just haven't said yes.
They haven't said yes.
The invitation is always there for all people, no matter where you are.
And that's right.
When you're in the default mode, you're always saying, you're not saying yes, you're just going along.
Yes.
You're just
the program.
On autopilot. Yeah. 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 Let's play another Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. And then if you get the point, you'll have it after this. Here it comes.
Yes.
We had a fire at the covenant when we got married, and we made that covenant with the Lord. That was not something that was just oh, this is so cute. We have a really beautiful wedding. No, this is a big deal. You found the love of your life. The Lord has been able to bring you guys together for a purpose and for a reason. And God is going to use your marriage in ways that will blow your mind. And yes, there is some pain in that. There is some deep pain. And people, not everyone will understand it. And I don't expect anyone else to. But the love that Charlie and I had and still have is something that transcends this world and into heaven. And that's why I still feel so connected to him, because again, we made that covenant. And how intentional he was about serving myself, that made me be a better wife. How can I serve you when you get home? What can I do better to be a better wife to you? How can I love on you better? When you communicate with each other, that's what's missing in this world. You talk about us being detached on our phones at dinner.
Yeah, the disconnection of communication. And again, communication is like, well, without it, how can I say it? I mean, if you don't have your phone, let's just say you left your phone in your car when you came in this morning. You need your phone.
Yeah.
You need it so that you can know what's going on and have the ability to respond. When you lose communication, you're sort of drifting out in, I don't know, a no man's land. And that's the problem that people, if you don't start with communication, well, you can always, I guess, find your way to it, but there's a problem there. The discommunication, the disconnection, and because it has to do with narcissism, and in my opinion, most people are very self-centered and selfishness rules their life, and that's the default mode because
That's the
selfishness
default
was
mode.
present.
That's
that
right.
was present in the Garden of Eden. It's like, oh, that looks good to eat, and why not? Yeah.
Well, I love what she said, because she said he inspired me to serve him because he was serving. His servant nature made her want to serve. See, and it's the opposite of the default mode that some men fall into, which I am the dominant, you are to be dominated. That's totally different than I'm a servant. A servant. Jesus inspires us by serving. And that is the opposite message of the world. And what is the world inspiring men to be? Animals, self-serving. The culture is going to tell you, go after everything you want. It holds women up as an object for their pleasure. That is probably the most strongest message you will get through culture, is this, because you know what? The enemy knows if he can keep men and women thinking this way, he will avert what Charlie and Erica had.
Okay, 15 seconds. Yeah.
All right.
All right, quick break here. FHU.com is where you find out about the Be Still and No Exercise. And, my dad wrote a book called The Adam and Eve Syndrome. Yeah, it's a good book. FHU.com, you can find out more. Okay. All right, in 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back. It is the Perilous World Radio Show. Jan Masters, David Masters. Deep conversation, and this interview with Erica Kirk and Hannity. But let's play another clip, shall we?
Okay.
Okay, here it comes.
You're not raising a little girl, you're raising a woman. And so in this book too, Charlie talks about how important it is. Put your phone down, engage with your family, pour into them. That's your legacy. You don't want to ignore that. You want to pour into them.
Are people actually, do they spend all that time running away? They don't want to face whatever it is. I mean, I think one of the hardest things to do in life is, and I think Christianity is misunderstood in a lot of ways. In that, oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, you think you're holier than thou. I don't believe that at all. I think the first thing you acknowledge as a Christian is you're a failure.
You're a sinner and you need a savior. That is the first thing. So I don't know how that's holier than thou when you realize up front, you need a God and it's not you.
And you're asking for help and you're asking for transformation.
Correct.
From the Latin, the word repentance means to change one's heart.
Right.
And
Right.
that you're asking for help to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, there's, again, I think that there's two kinds of people. One who take things in more intuitively, and those who are sort of knowledge-based and externally based, so that whoever interprets whatever Christianity is their version of it. And Jesus didn't come to create a religion. I mean, I think he will be really ticked off at a lot of people who are profiting from, jumping around on a stage. And there's people that I watch sometimes and just going past the channel, with their organ music in the background and heightened emotions. And I don't even know what they're saying, to be honest with you. But the idea of that I think that Christianity is entirely misunderstood, unless, of course, you've experienced the love of Christ, which is that you start to forgive yourself. You stop judging you, and then as a result of that, you stop judging others, and then you realize there's something that's not judging you.
Right. You got to realize it's a journey, and nobody, or I would say rarely, is it an overnight thing. When a person maybe starts reading the Bible or starts listening to others, they're starting on a journey. They're hearing truth. They're moving toward it, and they may get stuck in a place of treading water for a little while. But if the desire of the heart is truly to know God, they'll find their way out. All of us have been on a journey where even, people listen to your dad. They get stuck in just the words, right? And repeating what he says. So it can be done with the Bible, with anybody you listen to. But if God is drawing you, you're going to get through all those things. And you're going to, every time you read the scripture, you might see something else. You might get something else revealed to you. It's all about drawing nearer to him in your spirit. And we can't really judge what's happening with people on the outside. You might be able to sense, I don't know if they're there yet, whatever, but does it matter? That's their journey. The important thing is that you are drawing nearer, and we're all influencers, David, just like you talked about the man who was imprisoned.
Right.
He was just drawing nearer to God every day, and it was shining through him and affecting the man who was his guard. Each one of us needs to just do that. Just draw near to the Lord, because you are an influencer. You don't have to try. You don't have to try to influence. You already are influencing people, whether it's for good or bad. You're an influencer. Everybody listening to this, you are an influencer.
Right.
But you don't have to try to influence. You just have to love God and draw near to him, and then his influence will come through you. That's it. He wants a relationship with you.
So for me, if I had to pick just one of the things that Jesus taught, I would pick this one. Know the truth and it shall make you free.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you really need, because that opens up everything else. It's like, let's just say that there are tools. Let's say a can opener. A can opener is designed to open a can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's in the can? Well, there's maybe things in the can that you can use or drink or whatever. But if you just have one tool to gain access to everything else, that's all you need. And this is why to me, it's very simple, because I want to always, in a manner of speaking, know the truth, because the end goal of my life is to live as a free man, free to follow my conscience, free to speak the truth, free to know the truth all the time, no matter what. and not have to conform to other people's ideas and expectations, not have to live my life to make other people see me a certain way, which is the problem with, the fact that we're all influencers means that we all know, we're all conscious of the fact that other people are watching us. So do we actually live our lives in truth and authentically, or do we live our lives in a performative way? So for me, to know the truth means I know who to be, and I also know who not to be. Go ahead.
Well, people that have had experiences of dying and coming back, a lot of them have the ability, all these questions that they had through life, they just pour out, all these questions pour out of them, and all the answers are right there. And they get this download of truth, because truth isn't just one word. There's a lot of answers to things that are truth, right?
Well, truth has everything has truth in it. If it isn't, it couldn't exist unless there was a basis of truth for it.
Right. So
even evil.
The thing is, right. The truth is ever present, but we need to be open to it, obviously. And I come back to when Jesus said to the woman at the well, "Therefore I tell you, a day is coming, and in fact is here, where you will not worship on that mountain or over there, but you will worship in spirit and in truth." Okay? And I really believe he accentuated that, because there are a lot of people that I've met that come across as spiritual people, but yet I don't see a foundation of truth, because there is a dark side in the spirit and there's a light side in the spirit.
Of course, yes.
So how do you know? Let's talk about this. You have people out there called mediums, and they are able to tap in to the spirits on the other side and glean little bits of information to feed to people that, you're going to do this in your life, or this happened to you, or little bits of things where the person will go, wow. And they realize that person, they know something in the spirit. But there's two sides to that. There's a dark side that can give you answers from the spirit, and there's the light side, because throughout the scripture, God used his prophets to do similar things, but it was coming from God. So how do you know when what you're getting from the spirit is from the dark or the light? You have to be discerning. And also, God's truth is in the scriptures. So, for instance, he says not to involve yourself with these kind of soothsayers and things like that. That's just one example. There's a lot. His truth is also in the scripture for you to be able to check yourself, to check what you may be getting from the spirit or from others. So, David, doesn't it say in the scripture something about the testimony of two witnesses? Okay. The spirit and the truth of the word should both testify to the same thing. You need the testimony of two witnesses. That's all I can say.
All right. I'm going to play another Erica Kirk here.
Charlie talks about that in this book from the standpoint of do not idolize yourself. You don't have all the answers. You're not supposed to. And that's where it's so important for you to do a deep dive, know your nature, like Charlie said, figure out, obviously you're not perfect. No one is. Only God is. But there are things that you can do in your life to be able to be more in tune with the Holy Spirit and be able to make a difference in this life, this short life. And it starts with you realizing you're not perfect and the world doesn't revolve around you. And you're here to serve and to love others. That's what's most important.
You talk about what the heart of Christianity is. What was Jesus's commandment? Love others as I have loved you. And he gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Correct.
We're mind, body, and spirit.
So this is important because there is, I think it's in Corinthians, talks about faith and hope, but the most important is love.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I don't see how it's possible to actually love another person unless you put yourself aside. Because you can only there's only two kinds. There's a selfish love and then there's an unselfish love. And the unselfish love is the kind that Jesus had. And so that's where the sacrifice was he was capable of making the ultimate sacrifice because it was an unselfish thing. And remember, going back, well, we have 30 seconds, but go ahead.
Well, I don't see how you can love a person if you haven't tapped into the love of God, because we can't originate that love. We have to receive it, and then it can flow through us.
Right. Well, you're first of flesh and second of spirit, and then the flesh part of you, well, we have to talk about it after the break. Okay. FHU.com is where you find out more, and we'll be right back. Okay, continuing the program. What we talked about before the break is so faith and hope, but the most important is love. And then it goes to the question of so let me put it to you this way. People love their pets. And people love their food. And people love to have a good night's sleep. There's things that people actually can profess their love for. But it's harder with other people because other people are full of flaws. Other people are full of challenges. And even though pets are challenging, their challenges are pretty basic. It's like, oh, you pooped on the carpet again, or, oh, it's time to feed you. But then you can look at the dog and say, look at the dog. He loves me just the way I am. And the dog doesn't know any different. And because you feed him, he loves you anyway. And so loving somebody in spite of who they are, that's, in my opinion, where it gets interesting.
Yeah. I remember a time when I realized that it was so unnatural to do things for others because my nature was just about me. This is what I want. This is what, when you're a young person, it's all about you, what you want.
Yep.
And that kind of love that Jesus had, it was world changing because it was sacrificial. True love does involve sacrifice. You sacrifice because sacrifice is that it's some death of something of you or your desire, your own desires. You're laying down something for others. And the ultimate obviously is laying down your life. So that's just, to be a conduit of that kind of love is from the grace of God, because it's not of your human, your animal nature is not wanting to do that.
The word inspire means God's breath. So in a way, Jesus said, of myself, I can do nothing, but it's God that does these things through me. But it's the same that's true, is that when you reach a certain point in your life and you are inspired, when you have children, you love children in an inspired way. If you love them at all, you love them because it is your responsibility to love them. And whether or not you truly love them or you superficially love them, it's easy to, look at these people who really fail to love their children. And you want to be a boy or a girl today, Johnny?
Mm-hmm.
But if you really love your children, then you start to put their well-being ahead of yours. And that's what Jesus did. Now I got one more Erica Kirk clip here. Let's play it.
All right. We nourish our minds. We know by reading and intellectual knowledge. We nourish our bodies. We eat healthier. We work out. But I think we often forget the spiritual component of human existence and stillness. I think my best moments, or the moments I feel closest to God, are when I'm still and I'm quiet.
Absolutely.
And it's probably I don't do it enough. I probably don't. I don't.
Well, the enemy would love for you not to. The battleground is in your head. The enemy would love nothing more than to be able to just confuse things in your head and make it so loud that you cannot make any decisions. You can't absorb the word. You can't engage with other people. You can't communicate with other people. You're on autopilot. The enemy would love that. But when you're able to stop and be still with the Lord, that's when he's able to use you the most.
Yeah.
When you're surrendered, when you're fully surrendered.
It's like saying the Lord's Prayer slowly with meaning, and not getting, oh, I'm thinking about my next show. Or I'm thinking about, what I'm going to say to so-and-so the next time I see them.
No, it's right. And that's what's so important. When you say that prayer and you catch yourself thinking outside of that space, start over.
I start over.
Yeah.
Be still and know. Talking about it. It's what we have been teaching here at FHU for many, many decades. I mean, going on 60 years now. And there is power in that quiet, still place. But again, it's not an effort thing. It's an obedience. I think that it's like a commandment. When God, if God said to you, be still, would you say no? Or would you just stop and wait and listen? That's the question.
Now, what does it mean to be still? Does it mean physically still only? Because we can be physically still, but the battleground is the mind.
Of course.
And the more traumas and things you have and emotional reactions that have imprinted you, the harder it is to be still. And that is what your dad was trying to help people with, was the emotional factor and the way it has implanted in your mind, and that stilling yourself and pulling back a little bit and seeing all these emotions and things inside of yourself. These are the distractions that Satan wants to use to keep you off kilter. So yes, be still and know that I am God is a very important part of your faith.
It's the polar opposite of being actively thinking.
Yes.
It's the absolutely going to the opposite. And this is where, because he said, be still and know that I am God. That means that in that quietness, that's where the acquaintance, that's where the connection is established. I thought of it this morning as plugging in your phone to recharge your battery.
Okay. Can I say something real quick?
You got
How
15
about
seconds.
When Erica said, put your phone down and engage with your family? It's the same thing of engaging with God. Put your phone, put your thinking down and just listen for him. Wait upon the Lord.
FHU.com is where you find out about Be Still and Know. That's it.
All right.
Yeah,
we ran it right to the end.
That was pretty good from that. One thing I noticed about that interview was, that part of it. And I thought, it's nice.
The rest of it was just yappity yap.
No, it was all good. It's all
No, I got the best part of the interview
people.
is what he's saying.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Yeah, there was a lot more of the interview that was just.
Gotcha.